All right, and we're back. We have another caller that we're going to get on here, Gabriel. Also in Canada. He, him. How do you respond to people who think atheists are hypocritical about criticizing Christianity more harshly than Islam? Is that your question, Gabriel? It's a good question. Are you running into that?
Yeah, so sometimes, first of all, thank you for having me today, Ben and Johnny. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah. I just need water. I'm so thirsty, and I don't have any water. But go.
Yeah.
So you're running into this?
Hydrate yourself.
Yeah. I'm gonna slow down.
Yeah. So I've been running into some people either online and one time IRL in real life. So the subject came to religion and Islam in particular, and so I was like, well, you can be critical of the ideas, but not the people. And I think they didn't catch that you can dissociate Muslim from Islam or Islamism. And so I wonder if you have a better way to maybe word it so that they can understand. I know that you can get a horse to the river, but you cannot make it drink. But do you have anything about that?
Ben, you want to take a first?
This is always a very interesting topic because I do come across this frequently on the internet. And I think a lot of it comes down to, number one, that a lot of people don't know much about Islam. It's very easy to pick on Christianity because most of us were raised in those communities and we have experienced the effects of that religion on our lives, and it's easier for us to engage in those conversations. And even we're having more conversations with Christians usually. Not many people have access to Muslim communities around them, so that then makes it more difficult to really get a picture of what certain people believe and why they believe it. Because, of course, I don't want to argue a straw man for someone else's religion, because just like you have many different varieties of Christians, you have the same many varieties of Muslims. So I think part of it is the lack of understanding of the religion itself, the lack of friends to talk to who are of that religion. But then also it's culturally, it's a bit more difficult to engage in those conversations, I think. And so people don't really know how to kind of tread there within maybe some cultural communication differences. I think that plays a huge part.
Yeah. I think the reason why a lot of atheists in this country are more critical of Christianity is because we don't run into that many Muslims compared to Christians, unless you come from that background. I think just demographically speaking. Also, Islamists aren't taking over our government right now. That might be the case. Sharia law is coming for you. Well, because we got biblical law coming for us right now. We'll deal with that later. And those of us in the secular humanist atheist community are trying to say, like, let's have none of that happen. Let's just keep it the way it's supposed to be, a separation of church and state. But in a lot majority Islamic countries, some parts of the world, it's terrible for the people living there. We left Afghanistan and a religious extremist took over, and it's bad news in that country. It's bad news in a lot of countries. And I will say this, that when the neocons sort of took over the government, they were pushing Christian agenda on us, on we the people in the United States. And I don't know about Canada, but in the United States. And so a kind of backlash against that would be, to be sort of critical of Christianity. Those same neocons were hypercritical of Islam. And so it was like, well, the enemy of my enemy is my friend for purposes of discourse. But in reality, the ideas are just as bad and sometimes worse. But I think to address what you two were talking about a little bit before is about the distinction between the people and the beliefs, is to really focus on the humanness of the people who believe these things that you don't agree about. That everyone's the same. We might eat slightly different food. We might have slightly different languages that we speak, but ultimately we're all doing human stuff. And this is where, and this is not a cure-all. Please don't think that I'm thinking that the Marvel TV shows are a cure-all. But I watched Ms. Marvel because I had some time on my hands, and I really liked seeing the family, the young coming of age story of a young girl who gets some powers, and she's in, I guess, New York, and she's dealing with a mom that's protective, a dad that's protective. They've got special kinds of food that they eat that's different from the food that I eat. They wear different clothes. They have different celebrations. A brother's a little bit more religious, but he's going through the same rite. He's getting married. He's going through all this stuff. That's humanness. And when you realize that the people like the brother in that story, I'm not going to spoil anything. The brother in that story, he's like a super Muhammad head, right? And he's studying it. He's big on the law, but he's a big brother, right? And you realize, okay, there's a different flavor, but these are the same concerns that people have. So you could flip it and say, you hate the sin, love the sinner when it comes to religion. I don't like the religion, but the people are all right. I just wish they'd stop acting like assholes. And you could cast a wider net and say, I don't like any religion. But it doesn't mean I don't like people. I'm a humanist. I like humans. And I want to try to help them become as human as they can. Thoughts, Gabriel?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think you managed to word it the way I couldn't. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for calling in.